Hey, you're listening to the Smoke Meat Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pittman. Smoke Meat is brought to you by Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia. It's such a great place to go. You can go in there and meet new friends. They make you feel like family the first time you walk in the door and every time you come back. So go on down and have a drink, have a snack, just meet some new friends and hang out with your old ones. Remember, I goes to Joe's and so should you. That's Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia, in the bottom of the Lamar Building. Today, my guest is Mr. BJ Klock. That's right, I have got him here today, and you get to listen to him. We're going to have a great time. BJ is the CEO of Advisight, also a musician, and just a visionary. Such a great guy, has been in the top 30 under 30, and I see him going nowhere but up. So we're going to get this beast kicked off right here on Smoked Meat. Hey, so how the hell are you today, BJ?
I'm blessed. Thank you for asking,
Outstanding,
Brad.
outstanding, man. So what's going on today? What you up to?
Oh man, I'm just same old thing, man. Just serving our clients here and doing what I do, enjoying the beautiful LA weather.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's been beautiful out here in Georgia the last few days. You know, we've had a couple
Well, I
little
can imagine,
pop-up
man. It's that time
things.
of year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now we've just had some little pop-up things here and there, but for the most part, nice and sunny out there today. It's about 80, 85 degrees. I'm digging it.
Oh, it's beautiful. So
Oh,
you said
yeah.
you're in Georgia.
Yeah, I'm about 20 miles south of Atlanta here in Fayetteville.
Oh, that's nice, Fayetteville. I've been there before. I used to play AAU baseball as a kid growing up,
Uh,
and there was a national tournament down there in Fayetteville.
Sweet. Yeah, we got some nice fields down here. It kind of surprised
hmm
me when we moved up here.
Yeah, definitely. We would go to Atlanta and then we go to Florida
Ah,
sometimes as well to like the Disney complex down there.
mm-hmm. Yeah, sweet. Yeah. When I was a kid, you know, I played baseball some, but I've never
hmm
been a great athlete. I can knock the cover off a ball, but I was
hmm
never great in the field.
hmm
You know how every little league has that one team that you're guaranteed you're gonna beat even if you don't show up.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
you know how, and this may be politically incorrect these days, but how they put the kid that cannot field in right field.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. For
I
sure.
was backup right fielder on that
That you was
team.
the backup right fielder.
Yeah, on that
Well, hey,
team.
but they
So,
wanted your batting lineup though, so you know what I mean. They got to find
oh
we're gonna
yeah,
do the least amount of damage.
exactly, exactly. I'm the guy that got hit in the eye with the ball, throwing it back and forth just before the game with our people. I mean, huge ass shiner at like 12 years old. I'm like, really? I should have this mastered by now. It's a fucking ball.
That was
Like,
funny.
oh yeah, I'm talented. Oh yeah. Oh man, oh man. But yeah, I know you talking about your clients. You know, you working at site today.
What was that?
You working the company today.
Yeah, I would have a site. Yeah,
Good
um,
deal.
yeah, just talking with clients and putting together different game plan strategies, working on my team here, and working on a bunch of different really cool projects.
Groovy, groovy, man. Yeah, I know y'all helping a lot of people out right now with the market research y'all are doing, ain't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're helping a lot of people that are really highly recognized. Get their message out there to the different people that are looking to get to it. So we've been helping a lot of different people get a lot of attention and a lot of different fans on different platforms.
Yeah, very cool. And you know, I'm getting that for free because, like I say, I got BJ Klock on here, so gonna take off
Exactly.
huge. Look out, Rogan.
Exactly. It's nice to come hang out with you today now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, man. I'm tickled about it. And whew, man, man, these allergies are killing me. I say killing me, tearing my radio voice up, and that's all I've got. I've got the perfect face for radio, but
They got a good face for radio,
I do, man. I'm a sexy bastard on here.
huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, man. But no, I think it's pretty cool. You know you just got so many different facets. It's just you, I hate to say this because I sound like a fanboy and sound like I'm blowing smoke, but you're like a diamond, man. You got so many different facets.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. Well,
Yeah,
I'm just, I think I'm just embracing, me. I think we all got, I think we're all different. We're all diamonds in a way. It's the matter of, how much work we've put in to kind of sharpen our crafts.
yeah,
And I think I think early on in life I was always kind of concerned about what other people thought, or kind of think about what are my skills based upon what other people were telling me. And then I kind of just gave all that up and just started, working on the stuff that I wanted to work on and get good at what I wanted to get good at.
yeah,
I think I've come to believe that, God has really only given us one gift, and that's the gift of choice, and the power to choose and free will. So I just, I like to choose things that are good for people and just, spread positive vibrations and positive message, and whatever medium I use to kind of get that out there to inspire, maybe someone else to live their dreams and actually do what they're here to do.
yeah,
Because I think that's the biggest thing, a lot of times is, and I think there's a lot of people in life where they know when they feel like they're a little depressed or unhappy or something, they're just not doing what they really want to be doing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's like, so I try to be that example of of that you can create profits and you can live the ideal dream life that you want to live. It just comes down to figuring out how to serve people through your different passions. How can you solve problems with your passions? Because if you can solve problems with your passions, you can create profits.
yeah, yeah. And that's one thing I love is when I've been trying to entertain people for over 30 years, doing stand up and things like that, and I've had this show for a little over a year now, and
Hmm.
I've learned when you you just try and go solely off what you think the audience wants. There's always somebody, especially in stand up, that says, "Hey, you need to put this joke in your act."
Hmm.
I hate when people do that. I hate it
Yeah.
because if you want me to tell the joke, why don't you get up on stage and do your own little act? I got this thing
Hmm.
worked, and
Well, yeah, this is not
yeah,
necessarily, and that's the thing, man. At the end of the day, when it comes to anything when you're starting out to really, and it takes a while to build anything.
yeah,
It doesn't matter what it is or even how much success you've had in other things. To start something fresh, it's going to take time to kind of build up that equity, regardless.
yeah,
Um, but it comes down to being authentically you, because that's what's going to attract the tribe that's actually interested. If you're doing these one-off things essentially to try to get attention, that's never going to really, I mean, because even if you pull that off and become maybe a little bit successful maybe with that, there's really
mhm,
no equity being built with it, because then it's like you constantly have to like keep up with that. And it's like, I'm big on like freedom and lifestyle, at the end of the
yeah,
day, and I think a lot of times people are also after freedom and lifestyle, but they trade their freedom and they trade their lifestyle for other things that they think are going to get them freedom and lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like they
yeah,
trade their time for money because they think money's going to get them freedom. But it's like they give up their freedom for money.
yeah,
So how can what you give up for something, how can that get, it's like the same things that we're looking to get us free are the things that actually bind us.
yeah,
So that's why I always try to put a message of service, really at the forefront of everything I do, because, I believe that's really why we're here. We're here to serve one another, transmute darkness into light,
yeah,
so that's just what I focus on doing. And, over time and, as I've kind of matured and grown as a human, I just like to, focus on different ways in which you're doing that, because you can reach different. That's kind of what brought me, because I've always had a passion for music, but that's what kind of brought me to doing the music stuff. Is I realized this song can actually reach someone that's 8 and also 80.
hmm,
I do a lot of different content from like my TV show and some other things, but like it's not for everybody. So it's like, how can you reach the masses? Because I'm a big believer in this quote that actually comes from the Bible, and it says, service to many leads to greatness.
hmm,
And so I just, I want to serve as many people as I possibly can, because I want to be great in this lifetime that I'm here. So trying to serve as many people as I can in a positive way, and leave my mark.
yeah, yeah, and that's I love that because you know when we was talking before about the doing your thing, I've noticed that looking back, the most successful things that I've done
Hmm.
is I've not tried to put on a persona. I've not tried to, like we talked before this, I didn't get on here and do the radio voice and be that guy.
Hmm.
I put myself out there.
Yep.
And
And that's really what you want to do at
yeah,
the end of the day.
people respond to that. And, like I
You
said, the
do.
more people I can reach, it's a responsibility to me, because I can, I can go so many different ways with that influence, the little bit that I have here and there. I could preach hate and things like that, or I can, like I say, I can try and bring people together because that's what we need right now. I mean,
Definitely. Exactly
it's,
right.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
just overall in the world too, I think there's a little bit too much divisiveness.
yeah,
Everybody's kind of like trying to, and I don't necessarily think that's amongst people, but I do think that's amongst the media. They really want us to look at our differences rather than find our similarities.
yeah,
And I think also a lot of people believe in a paradigm of scarcity, as if there's only so much resources and also only so much for everybody. And in reality, we actually live in abundance where there's more than enough for everybody. So we can create win-win situations. And I think that's also the kind of transition that we're going through in the world right now, that we're seeing some, kind of like it seems like the dying of the old and the birth of the new. And I've been seeing this for a while now, and I really think it's the transition of that old system of the win-lose situation, where in order
mhm,
for me to win, you had to lose. In order for you to win, I had to lose. That no longer is the case. It's not a zero-sum game.
yeah,
So people can now create win-win opportunities where we both can come together and both win. And and old institutions and old things that don't necessarily operate from those core principles are definitely starting to kind of wane out. And eventually in the future there probably won't be those old kind of paradigms of this win-lose situation, because a lot more people are going to come awaken to the possibility of being able to create a mutually beneficial situation.
yeah,
And that's really in harmony with the way things operate on the earth.
yeah,
Like when a bee goes and gets pollen, it also has some pollen that gets stuck on its wings, and then it goes flying around. So it ate the pollen, but then it also spread the seed more, for the plant. So it's that
yeah,
give and take relationship.
yeah. And talking about the divisiveness, I've seen this, firsthand because
Hmm.
I'm a paramedic full time, and
Hmm.
the weekend, when we had all the huge riots,
Oh yeah.
you know, our sheriff's department actually gave us Kevlar to wear that weekend because we were
Oh
expecting
wow.
so many things. Because the little town where I work at, I say little town, it's a big county. We've got a couple of groups of people that they don't get along at all.
Yeah,
It's
it's too bad.
and the Saturday night of that weekend, each one of them held a big block party about a half a mile away from the other. And the next
Wow.
day there were two protests that were planned. And
Wow. So there is a lot
the
of divisiveness down there, huh?
but
Yeah, I don't
no,
really necessarily see
but
that
hang
much
on, the
personally.
thing
Yeah.
is, all weekend long there was not the first problem at all.
Oh,
Everybody
so
understood and got along, got their messages out.
well, that's
Everybody,
great then.
yeah, said what they
Yeah.
needed to say, and it made me feel
So there
so
wasn't any
good.
issues. Yeah, that is good. I mean, people should
Yeah,
be able to come together, kind of do their own thing,
yeah,
and not have
and and to
not
look
have
at
issues.
the
You know, I,
news, everybody everywhere was throwing bricks and looting stores and everything, and these people were, you know,
yeah,
putting themselves
I
out
don't.
there and getting their message out, and just
Well,
all was right
definitely.
with the world, and I was
Well,
so
yeah, and I
proud.
agree. Well, that's awesome, and I wish
Yeah,
more of that stuff got on the news, because I think that's the thing a lot of times too with the news itself, is that they're just trying to sell advertising space at the end of the day.
yeah,
And what's going to sell advertising space? Is it going to be people sitting in a circle kumbayaing, or is it going to be people throwing a rock through a building? You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
and it's like what they choose to buy. The film that of a murder or of a homicide investigation, that film goes for thousands of dollars, while the film of like doing a good deed, you don't get no money for that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So so that's kind of like the way it is. I think there's plenty of good things, in this world. I think they just don't get highlighted enough because the money is not, buying those stories.
hmm,
Um, but at the end of the day, the truth always comes to light. And I think there's more and more things, especially with social media and stuff. Like you can't keep, things hidden. I think a lot of people are wising up to the fact that there's good, there's bad, and there's ugly, and there's beautiful, and there's all sorts of different types of things in the world, and it really depends on what lens you want to view it through.
Yeah.
Um, and when you go out and I think this is the thing too. I think a lot of people, or some people, they look at the world where they're only looking at it for what people are telling them it is, rather than what they're actually personally experiencing. Like you said, like, I mean, you personally experienced some stuff like that, and it seems like everybody was getting along, and I
Yeah.
mean, that's from my personal experience too. I mean, I don't really see a lot of things like personally in the world that I think are ill. I mean, I do.
Mhm.
There's some crazy people. I mean, I think there is, especially in LA here. There's a problem with the homelessness. There's a lot of people that are homeless,
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily they're homeless. Like, they're homeless almost kind of by choice, to be honest with you. Like, where it's like they want to live like that.
Yeah.
Because they have other options and other things that they want to do. Um, so yeah, so I think at the end of the day, it comes to all that kind of stuff. It just comes down to direction. I think there's a lot of people that are wandering, and not enough that have a definite chief aim. And like, if you don't have a definiteness of purpose and something that you're striving towards, then you're gonna fall prey to a lot of different pitfalls and a lot of different pains and a lot of different just tragedy throughout life. But you have this definite purpose and this thing that you're striving towards, you'll be amazed at seeing how the universe conspires in your favor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I love that. And but yeah, I learned a long time ago. I think it was the Art of War. That
Mhm.
says people are motivated by mainly two things: love
Mhm.
and fear.
Mhm.
And I guess the news can't push love, so they push fear, and man, it works. And
Well, yeah. Well, fear is the fetter that binds darkness to man.
yeah.
You know. And they want to bind the darkness to man, because that brings control. Because if they really, if what they're, because, and they're also afraid. See, they're afraid of us knowing our true divinity, right? If
Hmm.
humanity knows there's true divinity, then they don't. There's no purpose for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's really where it is. It's like, and you can't keep the truth hidden, so you just have to distract from the truth, because especially nowadays, I mean, shit, you Google the right stuff, you can find whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it's like you can find whatever information you want. Yeah, that's where it comes from, and I think it's just a place. I think it's actually a place from them being afraid of losing power. A lot of times, because, and that's why they project the fear. We're all kind of like mirrors. It's like, and what you think about other people, what I've realized throughout life is that what you think about others, you slowly start to become.
Mm.
So if you think everyone's a dirty douchebag, you're gonna become one. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, I like to think that, I like to think generally like good things about, majority of people. It's definitely like, and I learned that kind of knocking on doors too. As a kid, growing up, like in my early 20s, that's like what I started doing, like professionally, like to make some money for myself out of school. And I learned, quickly that people really respond to you how you think about yourself. Now, there definitely is that 10% of the population that just kind of squirrely for one reason or another. But, if you go there with a general, like, expectation, like our expectations really superseded result. If you go there with the expectation of having success, it really increases our likelihood of having success.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier, to think about all the things that we don't want. And it takes some, focused, concentrated effort to focus on the things we do want, and what we focus on, we get. So I think by default, and that's also the thing with the media too and stuff, is like, it's easy to focus on, what's like kind of like painful and fear based and all that stuff. That stuff is easy to focus on. What's hard to focus on is the the benefits of of different things, and the values that people are providing, and highlighting
Mm.
good things. Takes more effort to do that. People want a quick buck, quick solution.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, like, what I've realized about life is that it's life is all about building equities. And I think we all come to this realization in different points of our life, and like the sooner we realize it, the better. um because like you build equities in everything, in people, relationships, your brand, you know uh a lot of different things. And if we're not building equities, if we're just kind of going through and just churning through different relationships and churning through dollars and churning through and not actually building and establishing equities, then we're going to be left at the end of our life without anything solid,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's,
so
yeah. And, I always had heard about, I'm going to protect my brand. And I always thought, okay, whatever. And,
yeah,
I'm not famous by any stretch right now. I'm me. And I always like to think that. But I'm learning as I'm going along that, I can't just, if I want to protect my brand, I don't want to just go out and do, okay, this guy's got this little show he's wanting me to be on. I need to look at that show and decide for myself. Is that gonna, is that me? Is that something that I need to be associated with, or something I need to do? And
yeah,
you make some hard choices, and I finally understand that, and I don't just shotgun my approach to guests now, because I understand. You may get 1,000 requests a day, and I used to just hate it whenever somebody would tell me no, or I wouldn't get a response. And now I understand,
yeah, yeah,
and
exactly. And
and
that's why we
yeah,
run our shop the way we do it at Advisight too. Is we actually you can't request to work with us. You have to be invited by someone who excuse me, who already works with us or is a member.
yeah,
So you can't, and the reason being is like, quality is better than quantity.
yeah,
I'm not, I'm looking for like, and it's also about lifestyle too, exactly, and
yeah,
it's also certain unique, like you want to choose, who you essentially, work with and
yeah,
like who you're building your life around. I think sometimes people they open themselves up to too many opportunities, and what happens is that they're too busy messing around with the wrong opportunities that the good opportunities end up just passing them by.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
And it's really weird, because some of the products, are from people who I love, or who are friends,
mhm.
and you want to be able to help, and at the same time you're like, man, that is just not what I need to be doing.
Something you want to be associated with. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's exactly. I mean, I get those kind of requests all the time from people. Well, can you post this for me or that? But it's something that's hard because it's like I don't like I can't share something that I haven't personally vetted. And that I personally invested in myself. So
yeah,
I don't. You know what I mean? So it's like I've never been the type of person to just endorse something for dollars. Like only
yeah,
things that I'm going to share about that I actually like is something that actually has brought value to my life. Like I've actually used it, I
mm,
buy it, or you know what I mean. And if I'm using it, it's bringing value to my life. Then of course I'm going to share it with other people. And it just makes sense. And if I make a couple dollars because I'm sharing something that brought value to me, well then how could that be wrong? You know what I mean?
mm,
I feel like it's only good. I think it's a lot of times people try to shortcut in the system and they try like making money on the next best thing rather than just worrying about what problems they like solving. You know,
yeah,
because if they just focus on in general, what I've noticed is like you focus on what problem or take whatever passion you got and figure out how can I solve problems with this passion of
yeah,
mine. And if you can just walk down that path, like typically like what you start with might not even be what you end with. It most likely won't be, but like starting on that path is going to open up a lot of dope doors, and it's going to put you on a bunch of different paths, and it's going to feel like you're actually playing the game.
yeah,
I think a lot of times, like I know for me personally, is I felt like I was in like neutral in life until I actually got myself a definite chief aim and a definite purpose of what I was after. As
mm,
soon as I actually got clear on what I was trying to accomplish, and like when what it is very simple. I just want to help 100 million people create financial freedom for themselves, like at least by the year 2035. And what that means to me is like an additional $2,000 a month passive income. Like if I can help 100 million people create a situation like that for themselves, well, then I think that we'd create a much better world.
yeah,
So it's just something that you put numbers to and and strive towards, and it's amazing the type of things that start. If I would have done it now, I probably would have said 5 billion people. But like I said, 100 million then because I was thinking small. But it was
mm,
only, it was like it's only been like probably 6, 7 years since I really got clear on what I was trying to accomplish. And I mean, um, and like when I really even set out on this mission, it's interesting to me because, and I don't like, for instance, like at that time, there was no one really talking about financial literacy or creating financial freedom. Like one of the trademarks I actually own is financial freedom creator.
mm,
Like at that time, that wasn't even like a thing. Like no one really was even putting out information really about that. And then over the course of time, I mean, I was putting out my information, but then you've also seen a bunch of these like personal development influencers. Like I started off kind of like really in the beginning of all this stuff, and then you start seeing a whole bunch of other people like from a personal development perspective, and now it's almost kind of like watered down to the point where everyone's like trying to teach someone something from a personal development perspective, and they actually haven't done anything, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to see that people are at least like there's a lot more of this stuff going on now, over the past, I would say, 10 years than there was the previous 10. I
Mhm.
think there's a lot more consciousness, and I also think I see a bunch like amongst young people. I see a like an ambition and like a belief that they can create what they're after.
Yeah.
um I think it's a mixed bag like with anything, but I think there's a lot of opportunities now to really get started on your business and your brand and get going like in your early 20s that really wasn't available 10 plus years ago, because the internet wasn't around. And you could do certain things, obviously you could kind of do it at whatever time, but I just feel like now with the internet and stuff, there's a lot more opportunities that you can build a whole business. You ain't got to leave your room you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. It's like, if I want to do, I mean, just something as small as do T-shirts,
hmm
even 5, 10 years ago, I'd have had to go out, find somebody that does them, get them screen printed, have a bunch of them here.
hmm
You order one, I send it. Now I just go
hmm
online, just put what I want
hmm
on there, and you order a T-shirt. The company makes it, sends it to you. I just get money,
hmm
and it's that
Yeah, there's
easy.
a ton of different solutions for sure, and yeah, it's a lot. And that's the thing too, where I think, and that's where, like I'm saying, to focus on our passion and what we're trying to accomplish, as far as our solution that we're trying to provide, because whatever we're passionate about in that solution is going to lead us down a whole bunch of paths, and we can stand on the shoulders of all these other, giants, these other companies that have built out this infrastructure, and we can use this infrastructure to benefit us in a way where we can then build out what we're here to build out, but I think some people get caught up in this thing where they're like regretting the fact that they didn't create YouTube, or they didn't,
Yeah.
they didn't, you know what I mean? And it's just like, bro, that came, that went, you know what I'm saying? Like, why don't you figure out how to use you? And now it's probably like, oh well, I missed the boat on becoming a YouTube influencer. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Hmm.
and we're always looking at the back, like playing Monday Night Quarterback, where it's like the hindsight's 2020. Like, oh, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin in 2013. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, and always constantly like kind of worried about what we missed out on rather than looking out what we're trying to accomplish. And then what happens is if you just start running your own race, focused on what your passion is and what you're trying to accomplish, what problem you're trying to solve for people, you're going to find that you actually end up involved in a bunch of different opportunities that like you just happen to be there at the perfect time,
Yeah.
and it's like, so it's like you follow this path of what your really true calling is, because it's not about, it's not even about getting a bunch of money. Like, for instance, if you even bought Bitcoin in 2013, but you didn't understand, like, and you just all of a sudden became wealthy, well, there's a whole bunch of bag of issues that come with that type of thing as well. You know what I mean? That you got to
Yeah.
work through. So it's like there's always challenges. So it's a matter of just figuring out, what you're after, and pick that rabbit essentially that you're going to go chasing after, that you don't even want to catch the rabbit. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
The point is the race.
Yeah. And like we had talked about earlier, my show's not monetized. I need to do it because I'm not allergic to money by no stretch, and
Mhm.
I've got one sponsor, and
Mhm.
he is the when I first decided to do this show, I went to my home club in Augusta, a place called Joe's
Mhm.
Underground,
Mhm.
and I was talking to the owner one night, just sitting there having a good time, and I said, I'm thinking about doing a podcast, and
Mhm.
he didn't even let me finish good. He said, "What do you need?" And he
Yeah.
believed in me before I believed in me on
But see
this.
that, well, and also too,
Yeah,
because you had at least enough clarity of what you were trying to do.
yeah,
I think, and that there's something powerful in that of, hey, I think I'm gonna go do this, right? And like, and then you tell people that of that actually like, and that's the thing. You consulted a jeweler about jewels too. You didn't go consult a brickmaker about jewels. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, and that's the key is like consult those that are worthy of consulting and what you're asking them about. You're going to get some good feedback and good advice. And also, when you're clear what you're trying to accomplish, you're also going to get some assistance and help to accomplish it.
yeah,
People want to help you accomplish what you're after. But if you're not clear, excuse me, if you're not clear what you're after, well, then how the hell can anyone help you? You
Yeah.
know, like even the universe itself wants to help you, but the universe at the same time, you know, I guarantee, because I've seen it in my own life when things weren't clicking the way I wanted them to click, was, you know, you know, I was asking, like I was in my head, I was asking for one thing. I thought I was asking for one thing, but then I really, if I was honest with myself, I was really asking for a completely other thing. You
Yeah.
know, and you mentioned something else too about like love and fear earlier, and like really understanding this is like something that really opened up my mind as well, is that, you know, that love, hate, fear, like love and hate are the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're just different degrees of the same vibration. You know, so there's a lot of things like that, like hot and cold. Hot and cold are the same vibration, just different degrees of the same frequency.
Mhm.
So we're actually we're the ones creating the dual, you know, because hot and cold is all relevant. I mean, relative.
Yeah.
You know, there is no hot and there is no cold if we're not here to experience it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like a joke I heard a long time ago. It actually has a good ring of truth to it.
Hmm.
I think it was Stephen Wright said, "No matter what temperature the room is, it's always
Hmm.
room temperature."
It's all exactly right, right?
It's funny, but it's
Yeah,
deep too.
it is very true. Yes, it highlights that. I mean, I talk to a lot of different people on a regular basis, and this is like really where you know, I try working through, you know, to help a lot of people is, you know, people they want to create something great, right? And
Yeah.
especially with creative people, but they're not very specific. They just say a lot or big. I want a big audience, or I want a lot of people, or you know what I mean? And like that's not specific. Like if someone's a lot is a lot different than someone else's, and you know, small, or you know, like all these kind of terminologies. And I kind of challenge anyone that's listening to us today is like, don't use like those kind of euphemisms or terminologies that just kind of like what does that actually mean? Start being a lot more specific about what you're talking about. What does a lot look like to you? What does big? What is big? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
start really defining these things for you, because what will happen is it starts becoming a lot realer, and you start actually doing it. You know, like, and it's interesting because like there's a lot of things that are available into this world that don't necessarily cost, or like you may not even have to, if you got enough value you might not even have to spend any money, but then also too just cost the things, like you can actually do a lot more stuff than what you even think you can do when you're thinking small, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily cost as much money to do certain things us. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
it's typically like how they're earning it, and when you're selling your time, like you can never sell your time and be able to make enough. Like your time is the most valuable asset you have. You know,
Mhm.
so. You know, selling your time is going to just always set you up in a losing type of situation. Now you got to do what you got to do to get rolling, you know. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, what I would, oh, excuse me, what I would always focus on is solving problems for profits,
Yeah.
you know, because you can always do that, and that doesn't matter where you're at. You don't need to be in the United States. You don't need to be anywhere. You can just be any. You can solve problems for people with money, and they'll pay you for that solution you just provided to them. You
Mhm.
know, so you know, it's kind of like the formula. I think that's the cat that the news media doesn't want out the bag, right there. You know, to
Mhm.
be honest with you, because once you realize that, because like it was funny, because like I was brought up like, you know, kind of like how everyone was in America, you know, just the regular school system and stuff, and like they always essentially was telling us that, you know, we had to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, then save up enough money to be able to like do what we really wanted to do,
Yeah.
right? And it
Yeah.
was like, but then once I started like living life and actually consulted some people that were actually living the life that I wanted to live, they were like, just serve people. I always wanted to serve people, but I thought I needed to make a bunch of money in order to serve people. In reality, I just needed to get serving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think too many people are waiting to that dollar amount to make the move, you know, like to go to their dream destination and live, or to, you know, everyone thinks it's got to be an amount or an account. And it really is just vision, you know, and like
Mhm.
doing it, you know, and then God's going to provide the way, you know, it's like, you know, just jump off the cliff, and you know, amazing things are going to happen for you.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's funny because when I started this show, my first episode I actually recorded in my garage with a good friend of mine who's also a comedian, and
Hmm.
we basically talked for 2 hours,
Hmm.
and then here and there I would have an interview, but for the most part the episodes were me just doing 20 or 30 minutes on whatever came into my head,
Hmm.
and I started working with some people and I started getting guests, and I finally figured out that like I say, helping people. I'm I'm getting guests who, you know, they always have something that needs promoting. I mean, that's, everybody, that's a great thing. And
Exactly.
I'm able to help them get their stuff out there, and that makes me feel so good because, you know, like my demographics, they may not be able to reach them or whatever, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden they've
But
got me, and I'm opening people up to that person.
exactly right, and that's where you're getting passionate about that
Yeah,
part right there
and
is really what it's all about, because then as you double down on that now, and now you're solving that unique special problem, and you get really obsessed with that. Now it's like now there's a whole new world that opens up. Like you're seeing, like with this
yeah,
whole venture you've gone on with this, is that there's all these opportunities and different things that happen. You meet different people, all this different stuff that happens just by getting clear of what you're trying to do, and
yeah,
it's all different levels of clarity. Obviously, starting off, you're never gonna have that like eagle, clarity on it, but like it gets better and better, and you just keep working it, keep getting clearer and clearer what we're actually after.
yeah,
And that's the beauty of this whole. That's what it's all about. It's about constantly. Each step forward just increases the path. It's just like, it's like because whenever you like I think a lot of people, I know I did for a while. I thought, you just want to get rich and then sip pina coladas on the beach, But then it's
mm,
like, once you've done that for long enough, that shit gets boring after a while. There's only so many pina coladas you can sip at the beach. Like, you want to help people, you want to serve people, you want to make others feel good and be able to provide value. You know what I mean? You want to feel valuable. So it's like it has nothing to do with money. This whole game. I think a lot of times until you solve the money game, it seems like it's all about money, but it's really about put like helping people, and like that smile someone gets on their face when you provided something of value to them. You know what I mean?
mm,
That's really where we get something that's like a feeling that's more powerful than anything.
yeah. And my goal in life is, I want to be able to provide for my wife and kids because they are my world.
Yeah,
And
and that's beautiful.
I want my kids to, have what they need, but I want them to have to understand where it comes from, and understand what they
Yep.
have to do to get that when they're older and when it
Hmm.
comes time. And I want to be able to get a place up in the mountains for me and my wife. Nothing fancy, nothing near anything
Hmm.
touristy, just some land, pay off the land,
That's
put a
beautiful.
little place on it, pay that off, and just build toward that little retirement there.
And you know what the beautiful thing is. What the universe. The secret of the universe. Now that you've been so clear at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, now, the next step for that to manifest it,
Mm-hmm.
like completely, is how many people you're gonna serve over what time frame,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that shit'll happen.
Yeah.
The universe, I don't know, you want to call it God, the universe, whatever, will give you exactly what you're after if you just say, "Hey, I'm gonna serve X amount of people."
Mm-hmm.
And then over this time frame, and at the end of that time frame, I'm gonna have X.
Yeah.
And it's magic, man. That's the magic formula to all of it.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to that because yeah, I mean we're working toward that, and I believe, like I say, I believe that's going to happen.
Oh, it is gonna happen.
And
Yeah, it is
the
gonna happen.
the little side sprouts that come up along the way, just
Hmm.
are so neat. I have one of our police officers. He does woodwork on the side. He came to work about a month ago and said, "I got something for you."
Hmm.
So what's that? And he had made me the most beautiful sign for my studio down here.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
See, and it's beautiful. That's what I'm saying. This
yeah,
thing's about to start taking off for it. I can already feel it, man. Like
yeah,
really, like you're gonna start getting a lot more traction. I know you already got a decent, fan base following here, but it's gonna go. I think over the next 6 months, especially because that's the typical life. You said you've been doing this for about a year now, right?
yeah.
Yeah, typically what I've noticed with brands in general, typically around the 12 to like 18 month like time frame is when you start really getting the most traction,
Yeah.
kind of on any project you start. The thing is, I give you a lot of credit because a lot of people give up after the first 6 months,
Hmm.
and the first 6 months is when it starts getting like the hardest, but if you keep going, you keep sticking with it, you really can build out anything over a few years, and I mean,
Yeah.
shit, over 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, shit, you could build out something really special kind of with anything as long as you just keep building that positive equity like we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the reason I do this is my therapy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Um, I come home and I do this to wash the day off of me because
I feel that.
I have some
I
great
feel
things
that.
I get to do at work, but there's some terrible things that I get to see at work, and you got to get
Yeah.
rid of
Well,
that.
I can imagine. Yeah, I could, especially being and it's beautiful the way you serve people in that man. I mean, we need people like that. To be honest, I give you a lot of credit, man, for doing
Well,
that, bro.
I just
That
just
shit is,
passed 30 years.
yeah, that's no joke, man. I sure
Yeah,
you've seen a whole bunch of crazy, horrific stuff,
yeah,
in that line of work, and but that's the beautiful blessing of it. That I'm glad that there's people like you in this world that are willing to do that type of work, and you got to do those things to decompress, and
yeah.
it's like. There's a lot. Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm sure there's tons of different, different events and stuff. You see people. I mean, just I never was a medic, and I've seen my share of crazy shit that I, wish I hadn't seen. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine when you're doing that for a livelihood. Like it's nuts. But those things tend to really build the character. The foundation, and it really gives us the appreciation for what we're doing and why we're here. And the special, especially of how fragile life is.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and to appreciate what we have, and the gift that we're given every day to be able to love our families, and to be here to spread positive light on the earth.
Yeah, yeah. And I just that's something I love doing. And like I say, this thing, the sides pouch. Somebody sent me the sign or gave me my sign, and I have guests that'll send me, the autographed headshots and things, which is awesome. And I put them all of them on my wall here in the studio. Today, I got a
Hmm.
comic book from one of my guests, and that was so neat. OK, the Queen of the Paranormal, or excuse me, KO, the Queen of the Paranormal.
Hmm.
She sent me the first edition of the Celebrity Ghost Hunters comic book,
Oh,
autographed,
that's so awesome, man.
and that
Yeah,
is
see, it's
so
always good.
cool.
That is really cool, man. And that's the thing too, is that like getting on your mission and your
Yeah,
passion is just a lot more things that you get that's even more valuable than money. Just like relationships and different things, and there's just all these different opportunities that open up. And I think I commend you for doing this, because I think it is setting an example too for other people, because like everyone should just take up doing something that's that they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid of judgment. I'm sure when you started this, there's probably a bunch of people that told you that was stupid.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but the only
They're like,
person
this will never go
the one guy,
anywhere.
yeah, they were sure, but the one guy that believed in you, he was probably the only guy that was actually worth having an opinion on anything, anyways, right?
Yeah, and he is
Yeah,
actually every show I do from now on.
yeah.
The best $400 the guy ever spent because he's taking this ride with me. Period.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a genius. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. And this guy, that's what I'm saying. So the guy that believed in you, he was the only one that actually had an opinion that was worth anything. You know what I'm saying? I
yeah,
can only imagine. Just by understanding the whole kind of situation that you already told me, I can imagine. He's a smart dude. He's probably had success in a bunch of different business ventures,
mm-hmm.
and all the crowd of just knuckleheads. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
trying to. Oh, that's so. Why would you do that? Yada. And it's just like that's at the end of the day. I think if we can leave anybody with anything, you don't want to be in that crowd of knuckleheads. You know what I mean? Like you want to get started, and you don't want to be the watcher. You want to be producing something that's worth watching.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like tell your story rather than reading everybody else's. You know,
yeah,
make your mark. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're here for. Go out there, serve people to the best of your ability, and make your mark here. And a lot of good things are gonna happen, man. And all those things that you dreamt about that you thought were crazy, that would things that would never happen, are gonna start happening. It's nuts. Things you
mm,
think about, oh, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that, or it'd be nice to do this, or it'd be nice to meet this person, and all of a sudden you're gonna be meeting those people and doing those things, and your life is gonna open up for you, and it's gonna be just a beautiful thing.
yeah. Well, man, you're welcome on here anytime.
Yeah. Well, definitely, it was a great having me, man.
Yeah,
Definitely. Whenever you want to have me back, Brad, just let me know, bro. We could set aside some time.
hell
Love to
yeah.
have chop it up. We could talk about anything you want, man. It was a great convo. I'm glad we had an opportunity to chop it up today. I think the people got a bunch of value. Hopefully, I hope they got something that's worthwhile. If you heard something that you like, take it. If you take what works for you, leave what don't. I like I like that being my mantra.
There you go.
You know.